It's great to have you back. In case you're just joining in, this is Rise and Shine. And yes, indeed, like I said earlier before the break, that we would have our guest seated. And yes, indeed, our guest is right here with us to talk about this. I'll just hand you over to Otto to take it over from here.
Well, we have been joined, as I said, by a serial entrepreneur who has built a fast-growing food company, Oti's Complete Kitchen, where she is involved in sales of all kinds of agricultural produce, foodstuff, food processing, catering service, and event management. She's also the secretary of the Youth Chamber of Commerce, Akwa Ibom State Chapter. I'm talking about Mrs. Otobong King Joshua. Otobong, great to have you in our studios.
To have it too.
We've been talking agribusiness and the place of women, how well are women doing? But I'll first start you with this. How do you see agribusiness? Is it something that someone can, make profit of, considering our society and what's going on around us? How well or how profitable is agribusiness?
Thank you very much. Agribusiness is a very, very unique thing. And I would want every young person or every young woman to be involved in it because there's so much profit in it. I could start by saying planting of tomatoes or pepper or even okra. Or even let's just use maize, the common one we all know, maize. You just buy maize of, let's say, 200 naira for a cup and you plant. And in less than 3 months, you have a huge harvest of maize. A maize that you planted with 200 naira, give or take, you have not less than 5,000 naira out of it from your first harvest. And it's something you can do. Now we even have seedlings that's produce even out of season. So you don't just say, okay, it's only in April I can get maize. No, maize can be gotten from any time at all, depending on how or when you plant them. Same thing with okra, same thing with tomatoes, same thing with pepper. You just spend a little money to plant and the harvest you get from it will be so massive.
Okay, now that's talking about returns, right? Now, we always have this issue when it comes to venturing into agricultural business. Most times people don't see it as attractive, People would prefer the white-collar jobs, blue-collar jobs, but to say you want to go to the farm and plant something, it's a big deal for most young people. How did you overcome that, and how would you advise someone who's beginning to think of it but still doesn't think agriculture is attractive?
That's because they don't have the passion in it. If I tell you that if I live here, I'm going to the farm, I'm sure you'll be wondering. Yes, because I'm already dressed. Gone are the days when going to the farm is boring. You have dirty clothes, you have so many instruments that you have to work with. No, we've taken that off because we see these things as our passion, what we desire to. Especially when the interest or when the harvest you're going to get is massive. So you put in your love, put in your passion into it, and then every other younger person who sees you doing this thing will even want to do it. For example, let's say we want to harvest tomatoes now, and tomato, let's assume, is out of season. You harvest tomato, and even from the north, they bring these things to us very expensive, and if we can get it in Akwa Ibom here at a very reduced cost, people will go for it. So we are no longer seeing agriculture as a dirty business, as something only the old people or our parents used to do. Now we have modernized farming. It's very, very stress-free. We have some machines that will help us do a whole lot of things. For those who are into the Gary section of agriculture, we have machines who even peel the cassava. Just to stand and supervise the way the machine works. We have a machine too who does the frying. You just on the machine and it fries for you. You just be watching it. And when it's okay, you bring it out and bag it and you begin to sell. So farming has gone beyond where you wear rags, where you sit as sofa head. No, it's now modernized and it's very, very attractive for any young person to go into it.
Now, we know that agribusinesses most times are capital intensive. This is because you need a plot of land in the first place, and owning or acquiring a plot of land to a younger person might be a little bit difficult. So how can a younger person who has interest in agribusiness start off?
Okay, let me use myself as an example. My dad actually, we have some, like say, a plot of land at home, and we don't stay in the village, we stay in town. But the village is very close to Uyo, so I could shuttle at every point in time. And currently, I'm using that plot of land to do some farming because it's wasting. So we could plant cassava there. Cassava does not need so much care. You just plant and go. Once in a while you go and then ask some persons to either help you clear, and then you pay them some little money. You may not really be the one doing everything. So it's not something you say, I must go and get a very big. You should also remember that you need to start small and see how it's going to be. Then the government too sometimes give out. I was opportune to also get some plots of land at Ibiako. That's Ibom Farm. They gave us some hectares of land free. And yes, so we're asked to plant.
Not
yes.
plot.
No. Yes.
Wow.
We planted them tomato, pepper, and okra. Some planted watermelon, depending on what you choose to plant. Some even planted water leaf, some vegetable leaf. So it depends on all these things. As when you put your ears on the ground and there are some things happening in the state. Just put your ears on the ground and get information on what is happening. And then you, as an agriculturist, you don't also be an island. You need to also have friends who also know where some things are happening. They will call you, CEO, there is a land. Can you plant? Can you use it? And there you can have it free of charge.
If you say so, I would like to ask: are there groups? Do you have like groups where you have younger people, maybe a group of 20 who you would liaise with to farm?
We have so many of them in the States. We have women farmers. We have the Ibom community farm. That's under MEPG. We also have even the one the Ministry of Agriculture, Women Affairs is also doing. It's there also. So there are so many of them. It's just for, even in the community, just for you to locate where they are and introduce yourself to them and see how to...
For the benefit of who might be seeing you, how can you locate some of these groups?
Because okay, for the Ibom farms, for the Ibom community farm, their office is at Barracks Road.
You might not necessarily... Okay, Barracks Road?
Barracks Road, yes. Just ask of MEPG office, and when you meet them there, they can see how to assign a plot to you to...
Okay.
Okay, now we've been talking basically farming, and I know that the other aspects of agriculture, especially when talking about processing. Now, must someone, is it compulsory that if someone wants to come into agribusiness, she must almost always be at the farm level? Can we go into processing and exactly share with us those? Yeah.
Okay, I'll also use myself as an example. My dad was diagnosed diabetic some months back, and we used to buy plantain flour, semo, and all of those foods that were recommended by a doctor. And I thought we were wasting money because some of those things were quite expensive. So I started to go into research on how do I make plantain flour by myself. And I went into it. So we'll get plantain from the farm, peel, wash, dehydrate, and it's set. We'll blend it and it's set. So with that, I was doing that on a regular basis. And now I process plantain and have the plantain flour ready for sale. Okay. So you must not have all the machines. There are people who also have these machines. You just pay a little token to them and they can allow you to use it. So you can even build your own business from there. So you must not be in the farm. If you want to be in the farm, you only go there because you have passion for it. Maybe seeing the leaves, dancing and all that. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes we do it. You just go, you just go to the farm and then you just begin to watch the nature of how everything God has created and you begin to admire them. But aside that, you can do all those things without going to the farm.
Well, okay, let me ask you, because you mentioned quite a number of aspects of farming that people can go. You mentioned tomato precisely, you mentioned okra, and you also mentioned pepper. These are perishables.
Yes.
Now, for sustainability, are there methods you use to preserve them before you eventually be able to sell them off?
My own case is actually unique because I plant, I process, and I sell. So I'm like 3 in 1.
Fair
So when I
enough.
harvest tomatoes from the farm and I sell, sometimes we don't sell all. We have some that get bad, but sometimes we, not because we don't want to sell, but because we want to see how to preserve them, because there's a time we'll have tomato out of season. As we speak now, there's a method, even though I share on my Facebook page too, on how mothers, because they are the ones who use these things often. So you can preserve tomato by blending the tomato, you drain out the water from it, and you put in a bottle. Most times I like using Bama bottles because it can cook very well. Inside a bottle, and you boil it. I'll be wondering, how do you boil bottle and it will not break? There's a special method for it. And then we use a foil paper to cover the top of it and then cook. But once you boil it, you don't open it again till when you want to use it. But mainly you use it at least 2 weeks. So right now I have not less than 100 bottles of Bama container filled up with tomatoes inside. Same thing with pepper. You can preserve them and nothing will happen to them. But if you have lights frequently in your home, you can also put them in the freezer in a custard container or a transparent container and keep in the freezer. Nothing will happen to it. But the other method, you can just keep them in a shelf where the temperature of the room is just normal. Keep them, they can stay for above 6 months.
And still usable.
And still usable, no preservative inside.
You don't have to rewarm it.
Not at all.
Well, interesting stuff. Okay, that being said, have this knowledge been passed on to other farmers, or it's just you? Because you use yourself as a typical example in almost all case scenario. So how do you think this knowledge can be passed on? Because, quite an interesting thing, because there are other farmers who might be having issues struggling with preserving most of their farm produce.
Yes, for me, my Facebook page is a very busy one, and anytime I get a new knowledge, I try to share. Now, personally, I love the girl child, and I love everything about the women. And each time I get a new idea, I share it. In fact, recently, as at last week, I had a huge number of plantain gotten from off-takers in the market. And I brought it, sold it, and still had so many leftovers. So I had to post online. I was like, in case you're a young woman and you want to learn how to do plantain chips, because there's so much money in the business too. People like to snack every time. And I showed them a simple process, both in picture and in words, on how to do plantain chips. Same thing with the tomatoes. I did it too. So whenever I have a new knowledge, I don't hold it to myself. Because if you're the only one that knows a particular thing, for me, I have headache because I have not released it out. So everybody is just hoping to get it from me. But if I have 5 or 10 persons who share the same idea with me, the stress on me will reduce. So I don't hoard information to myself, because God did not give it to me to hoard it. He gave it to me to release it out to some other person. So I tell you what to do to make sure you also have the same idea that I have also.
Okay, what are your plans towards packaging? Because you've mentioned your preservative method, which is what you said, and coding it in a foil paper, in a Bama bottle, and all of that. And you say you have up to 100 of them. Have you thought about having it well packaged, like the normal tomato paste that we have in the market?
My chain of business actually has packaging in it also. If you get to maybe my outlets, let's assume crayfish, the normal crayfish you see in the market, the way I present mine and sell is different from what every other person does. Now, it's a little bit expensive, but I like quality. And whenever I'm taking my crayfish out of the States, people who see it outside will call back to say, Oti, you did a great job. Now, that's because I had a mindset of business, but I had to make mine to be unique, aside from what every other person is doing. The same thing with the tomato paste. If you see the way it's arranged in the shelf, even if you do not want to buy, you will buy because of the packaging. So I love packaging so much. I already have people who I work with that are into packaging. So each time I have a particular product, I just call them, I need 1 liter or I need 5 kg bag. Do you have? They give me samples of what they have, and I go for it with my stickers on it. Because whatever you do without your sticker, you're not then serious, because somebody buying it may not call you back again because they don't even know how to get it again from you. So whatever you're packaging, you need to also make sure your name, your brand name is there so that they can always call you back.
Okay, now let's look at you. Just went into somewhere I was hoping we'll talk about much later, but you're there already. So let's jump into it. Okay. Now, I know that in many quarters, a lot of persons think agro business is just one of those things people do. You can just do anyhow and get referrals. But you said something very emphatic about branding, something very emphatic about packaging. Now, a lot of persons don't know this other aspect of agro business. Now, most times they think it's just the mundane thing they're used to. So now, from your point of view, as someone who's been in the industry for a long period of time, is agribusiness in any way different from traditional businesses in respect to the fact that we still need to brand, we still need to package? In what ways exactly is it different from every traditional business?
It's quite different because before now, you could see someone pick ever bottle or bottles from the waste bin. Whether they wash or not, they begin to pack palm oil in it. I'm using palm oil as an example. But ever since I came into the business, that's over 10 years now, I realized that our health is more important in everything we are doing. Because if you don't have a good health, you may not really function well when it comes to your job. And so I had to break the jinx of not using that bottle at all. I don't buy bottles in the market to use in packaging. I prefer, just like the 4 liters of 4 liters of palm oil that I'm selling now. Now, some persons are selling that palm oil for, let's say, lower price than what I'm selling. But I had to factor the cost of the gallon into the palm oil, because it will be very, very bad if I know this thing is not good and I'm still using it to serve the public. Peradventure, anything happens and they test and find out that what caused the death of a particular person is because they used a product or they used something that is not good to feed someone. Apart from even I'm being arrested, my conscience too will tell me that I've killed someone. And so what I do is I try as much as I can to get these packaging items new. Because when you begin to pick bottles, that's what the traditional people do, those in the market do. They just go pick those bottles, some they don't even wash. In fact, it happened to me yesterday. I bought some palm oils and it remained. I had some left over. We were supposed to turn into a gallon to me, and I didn't have an extra gallon again. So I asked an old woman, "Ma, please, can you help me with your bottle?" I asked someone to help me get. So they gave it to her. When she brought it, I looked at her like, this rubber is not clean. And she said, "Auntie, let's just use it like this." No, I can't use it. I rather forfeit the remaining oil to them than put that oil in a bad container. Apart from the fact that it will change the taste of the oil, it's not hygienic at all. So, but they will say, after all, Africa, but after all, they kill them. No. We've passed that stage now. We need to, as much as we can, see how to present quality foodstuffs to people.
Well, quality food stuff it is. We'll come back to this conversation, but after this time out, please stay with us. Great to have you back. Yes, the show is still Rise and Shine Friday edition, reaching you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakura. And we're still here with a serial entrepreneur who specializes in agribusinesses. And I want to quickly ask you, how has doing agribusiness made any cost of food cheaper? You said you have a goal of making food items cheaper for the general public, that it's a passion for you. So far, how would you say that is going?
It's actually very, very nice. And for those who know me, they call me the Awoof Mama. Yes, that's because I don't like increasing foodstuff, and I make sure everyone has good foodstuff in their home. Earlier this year in January, I sold tomato for a custard for 500 naira. And
what?
People are, yes, tomatoes. A full custard for 500 naira.
I see.
And people were surprised. I thought they were like, she's a scammer, this and that. But they came and saw it. I wish I could also show pictures of these tomatoes. I had no less than 200 baskets of tomatoes. And sometimes we sell them off in a day. When foodstuffs are cheap, people buy a lot of them. And they see how to also preserve them. Everyone, in fact, like I say, almost everyone knows this preservation method, because when once the foodstuff is cheap, they know that, like that time I was selling tomatoes for 500 naira. I stopped the aboki, like 3 of them. I did a video of them. And they were like, no, madam, at 2005 we they sell. And I was begging them, sell me for 1.5 now. They said, no, that's the last price we are going to sell. And when I posted, everyone was just laughing at me, like, you say they worry you. I say, yes, because it's my passion. It gives me joy. People are buying good food stuff to eat. As we speak now, onion is sold for 800 naira a custard. But outside my shop, it's sold above that price. Now, why do I do this thing? I believe in turnover. It's not when you buy a particular thing, maybe from the farmers, and you now come and increase your price and make it very expensive. No. I like making sure that everyone has good food in their homes. So that's just, even the plantain I'm selling, they can also bear me witness. A bunch is sold for 500 now. People were like, are you serious?
Wait, hang on. When you say a bunch of plantain, are you talking, how big is this? And how many?
We have like 15 fingers of the plantain attached to a bunch.
15 fingers?
Yes.
For 500
For 500 naira.
Oh, this is serious. You must be kidding, right?
No, the next question I want to ask is that business smart?
Okay, no, like, is it profitable for you?
It is. Because I got them below that, because there's no how I will sell at my cost price. So I still have my profits on it. So I get them in bulk, like a full mini bus filled up with plantain. And I offload, take my stock, which is one thing I do. Immediately I come back from the market, I take my stock of how many do I have on ground, and I check, divide, do my plus and minus, take out the transportation costs and my expenses, and I still come down to that. We also have the bigger bunches anyway, for 2,000 naira and above. We have for 1,000 naira, but I make sure that, because if they hear 2,000, sometimes they're like, it's much, or I won't be able to. When once you say 515, meanwhile 500 in the market, we have like 5.
Yeah.
But above, from my shop, you can have like 15. The rush is always something unique.
Then they rush you. That's what you mean emphatically.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, well, it is what it is, and it's...
My. Okay, I still have not recovered, but let's get back to this conversation real quickly. Now, let's talk about women, really, women in agribusiness. How would you rate women's involvement and participation? I mean, considering the fact you've been in this for about 10 years now, how would you rate, in your period of experience or practice, how would you rate women's involvement in agribusiness? Sincerely,
women, they have tried.
Okay.
If you go to the farm, you go to the market, you see a whole lot of them. Now, there are some who cannot really farm, but they are there to offtake and sell. So they are still part of it, because if the farmers bring out the farm produce and they don't have people to buy from them, it's then a waste. So they are still part of it. And sincerely, women these days have actually tried their best. You hardly see anyone who is a full-time housewife. You hardly see anyone who is lazy. You hardly see anyone who is dull. Majority of women these days, I'm not saying it because I'm a woman, but I know too well that they are doing so well. I have my peers, I have my mates who are into the same line of business with me, and they are doing so well. So well. So I would say their involvement in the agricultural sector now, it's really, really great. Really, really great. So I gave it to them. At least 90% of women are doing so well in it.
Do you think that's enough to achieve food sufficiency for everyone?
Yes, but I will only add that sometimes they have some challenges. Like going to get this farm produce from the interior villages where these things are being harvested from. They can have challenge of transportation, finances, and some other minor challenges. But I have not seen women complaining so much. What they only just need is just a pat at the back and encouragement. And then if there's a financial aspect to it, like giving them, boosting them up, they can do better. But if women are being empowered, I'm sure food sufficiency will be just something we cannot even talk about again, because
It will be
yes, it will be achievable, because they will bring out a whole lot of these things from the interior villages and get it to everyone to enjoy it. And remember that in Akwa Ibom State, we are so blessed with foodstuffs, because I can remember during the lockdown, and I was opportune to be sending foodstuff outside. Other states were crying seriously on foodstuff. There's a particular state that didn't have plantain. They didn't have plantain at all, because they were always getting plantain from us. They didn't have afang leaf and so many other agricultural produce that they used to get from us. When the lockdown came, everywhere was blocked. But the day I took some of these farm produce to them, it was as if I was a king. They were dragging it, they were rushing it, and in less than 1 hour, everything I took was completely sold out. So I now said, oh, that means we don't even have all these things, oh. So which means we have the chance to even produce more of those things and send them out of the states. When we send them out of the states, we get more money, we get more profit from it. Yes, because even in the north, it's true they send tomatoes to us, they send onions to us, and if for any reason they tell us we're not giving you again, we will suffer because we don't have enough of them in Akwa Ibom State. So if we get more lands, if we get more seedlings, if we get more finances, we can get more farm produce.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on the show, Mrs. Otobo. It was nice having you in our studios. And we hope to see you, achieve more in terms of providing food at a reduced rate for...
For that reason, we would like to have your contact up to now.